He's right here.
Hello, Kemper family. It's so good to see you. It's Greg Sini. I'm out at our beehives at Kemper House. You're here with Dave Noble and Greg Sini. And he's our master beekeeper right there.
All right, everybody, find a seat.
You can hear the train in the background. This is what happens when you're live from Worthington. But I'm excited to have you guys on. We're going to record this so we can share it with the world. But we've got a couple things that we're going to be sharing with you today, talking about the time of year, hive that we're not sure if it has a queen in it right now and what we could do about that. And then a couple other things as well. So we're going to get started here in a minute while Dave's getting everything ready. He's the workhorse here. I'm just the interviewer, I guess. But I have more protection, I will tell you that. He wears really not much, a face mask, a hat, and some glasses. But he's okay getting stung, I guess. I have an EpiPen, I've got all kinds of protection. So I'm gonna flip this camera around so you can start seeing some things. I think it's time for us to get rolling. It's, in case you didn't know, it's August 22nd, it's about 10 a.m. and we're right in the middle of summer here. So the weather's been off and on comfortable and then pretty darn hot. Today, we were looking at a forecast of, pretty sunny in the morning, and then it's gonna supposedly storm up a little bit this afternoon. One of the things you really don't wanna do, but Dave does sometimes because he has to, is get into your beehives on a rainy day. They do not like that. They want to stay protected. They don't want to get wet. So if you can all avoid getting into a beehive on a rainy day, that's the best thing to do. So let me flip this camera around. Oh man, my technology. There we go. Aha! There's Dave.
Hi. So I'm doing a couple things here today. It's as Greg was mentioning, it's a time of year where there's a lot of work to do in the bees. So we've gone past spring and we're right in the middle of summer, near the end of summer, and all of these flowers, maybe Greg can pan around, they've stopped. A lot of the flowers have stopped blooming and they've gone to seed.
Yep.
So these don't produce any food for the honeybees. But there's a new crop of flowers coming about to produce nectar and pollen, and that's the things that bees need in order to survive. But we're in that in-between phase where there's just not a lot of nectar and pollen coming in, just very tiny little bit. Let's see if I see.
What do they call that in-between phase?
That's known as, we call it a dearth.
A dearth.
Just means a lack of. So there's just not much in the way of pollen for the bees to eat. And what happens is if there's not a lot of pollen, that's their protein source, right? They stop feeding the queen. Here's something interesting here. See them, looks like they're attacking that bee?
Yes.
So that is most likely a bee from another hive that's come in here. So we'll get her out.
Trying to steal honey.
Trying to steal honey. And if a bee from another hive comes in here to steal, they actually get on them and pull their hairs out.
Ah, and so why, or first of all, how would they know? They all look the same to me. How do they know it's a bee from another hive?
So they're going to smell different.
Oh, yes.
So every hive has its own smell. And I always tell people, when I say that, they're like, what? Every hive smells different? If you've ever gone and visited your family and friends and gone to their houses, everybody's house smells a little bit different.
Yeah, my wife was just telling me last night that my family room where I spend most of my time stinks like me. So that wasn't the term I was looking for, but oh well.
I think she meant it just evoked a memory of you having been
that's
there.
I'm sure that's what it was.
But they do. They all have their own different smell. And I remember growing up going to my aunt's house. And just because of the kind of cooking she did and everything, it just had its own smell. So that smell gets, there's another one where they're fighting.
Oh
And
yeah.
one of the ways I know that this is probably a robber bee is because it's much less hairy. So they get a lot of hairs pulled out.
And she's willing to put up with that to get free
Yeah.
honey.
Yeah. And she'll probably, depending on which, she'll probably give up after a bit. But you can see, there we go.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Like the details of it, when you might not be able to see it on the camera, but you can see that she has less of these little hairs
on her, on the back, especially on her abdomen. It
Yeah.
looks like shiny.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do something real quick over here.
She's enduring it though.
Okay. Anyway, so they sometimes stop the queen from laying eggs because there's not enough pollen coming in. And we're gonna look at some pollen.
Hey Greg, I need to interrupt you guys. Can you tell us where this is at again now that everybody's in here?
Hey, hold on 1 second. What was that?
I said, I hate to interrupt, but can you tell us where this is at now that everybody's here?
Where this is at?
Yeah, where is it? Where are all these bees at?
Yeah, so this is Kemper House. So this is the building that you're in, right? And this is the property that surrounds our building, and we're in the southeast corner of our property. So on our grounds, we have 8 Kemper beehives, and it ranges from anywhere from 2 to 4 boxes. And I'll show you, you can see the corner here. That's the intersection of Proprietors and 161. So you can see it at the corner there, but that's where it's located. I hope that helped.
It did, thank you. That's right outside this window, guys, so they're right behind us.
Yeah, we're going over here to a frame.
So this hive, I've been checking and I can't find the queen or any sign that there's a queen in there. The bees seem to be doing well. So I went and checked. This is the second time this week I've checked for the queen, but I'm taking this frame because it has eggs all over it. I doubt you'll be able to see them in there.
Yeah, so Dave, you can take a frame from another hive with basically eggs in it, and then implant that into another hive. And what's the objective?
So this is, I'm doing a diagnosis.
Okay.
This is going to tell me whether there is a queen in here or not.
Ah, why is that?
This time of year, it's hard to know sometimes because the queens will stop laying eggs. If there's no queen in here, they're going to start turning those eggs into queens. And so that looks very different. So I'll just be able to say, aha, they need a new queen. I'm going to go grab.
So it's really the behavior of the existing worker bees that tell you. So it's almost like you're examining and testing certain things.
Like knocking on the knee to see if I have a
right. You're checking the vitals of the hive.
I'm going to see
and how it responds.
Yes, exactly. But so that I can remember, I'm going to put a
mark on it.
Yep. That's the frame I want to check when I come back in.
Gotcha. And how long of a time period would you take between doing this and checking?
I'm going to give them about 3 days.
3 days,
so
okay.
Sunday, Monday, I'll probably be back Monday or Tuesday.
Awesome.
To check and see if there's any queen cells on here.
Gotcha.
If there are, then I'm going to add a new queen to this hive because they're telling me we don't have a queen and we want one.
And so wouldn't it be better for them to make their own queen versus you putting a queen in there?
Well, at this point, not, because if they make their own queen, it will take 30 days until that queen is able to lay eggs.
Gotcha.
And that's if she survives her mating flights.
Yeah, and the life cycle of a typical worker bee is
42 days.
Yeah.
So a lot of these bees will die in the time that it would take them to get a queen to lay more eggs.
And it might be that the hive is so weak that it can't survive either way.
Right.
Gotcha.
So I have a couple of queens that I can put in here at any point, and so, but I don't want to put a queen in here if they don't need them.
Gotcha.
So that's why I'm doing this diagnosis.
Now, one thing about this particular hive is that it was a
It was a
swarm,
swarm.
which means that that Dave found it possibly in a tree, or somebody had called and said, "Hey, Dave, we have a pile of bees
Pile of bees
swarming in a
swarming
tree
in
or
a tree or
someplace. Can
something.
you come get them?" And so Dave
And
goes
so
and gets
Dave
them.
goes and gets them. And I did that. That was early, because swarm season is in the early spring. And so I did that much earlier this year.
Swarm season. Who would have thought we had a swarm
We had a
season?
swarm season. And that way you'll have some routine. Okay, so this is a frame of the top. There's some honey in here, but I just want to check to make sure, because maybe I'll see the queen up here real quick. I want to look to see if there's some pollen coming in. But the bees I've been loving this weather, and the bees have been loving this weather. That's nice,
Um,
good, cool weather.
Abby, we're getting some echo in there because the mic's on.
The mic's on. Right. Just doing a quick check, and then we're going to go in and look at some of this new pollen that they're coming in. So like I mentioned, we're kind of in that period where all the spring and early summer flowers have stopped blooming, but the fall flowers haven't started, like the goldenrod, the thistle. I'm trying to think what some other fall flowers are.
So you're telling me because these flowers bloom at different seasons, I'm assuming that spring honey tastes differently than summer or fall honey.
It absolutely does, and it's got a different color to it. It's just different in all kinds of ways. But I've been encouraged to see this week some new pollen coming in, which means that a bunch of the fall flowers are about to start blossoming.
And I do know that some beekeepers, they will plant fields of certain flowers by their beehive so that they can do a lavender or whatever it is, you know, that
Right.
they can control sort of the pollen that's going into them, and it would flavor it in a specific way.
Yeah.
To the best of their ability. You can only control so much, because a bee will forage up to 3 miles away from their hive.
Yeah. Send you a map of where these bees potentially can forage.
Oh yeah, that would be awesome.
On those lines, I have some beehives that are in a community garden on the east side of Columbus, and I've got a garden plot there, and I planted buckwheat.
Mm.
And buckwheat, bees absolutely love it. It produces a ton of nectar, and it grows really fast. So I can have 2 or 3 crops of buckwheat in a year. We're going to close this hive up. We've had her open a good long time.
You did. I'll tell you, that is a very, I would say, cooperative personality beehive. They were not aggressive at all, and we've been in here a lot, and so that's impressive to me. I love that.
Now, if you watch here, the bees will eventually, they're going to start going down inside.
Sure.
Because they like it. They don't like it when we open up their hives and let all that sunlight in, because they like a nice dark home. And you can see how some of them are already sort of moving into there.
You know, it's funny, when we see honeybees, we see them out foraging and doing this stuff, but majority of them, their life is spent in the darkness. Is that true?
Yeah.
Which seems kind of crazy.
The queen especially, she rarely ever gets out of the hive. We're going to look in here, and we're going to find some more larvae and egg and pollen. But yeah, I plant buckwheat, and I didn't plant enough buckwheat to make a crop of buckwheat honey. But a friend of mine in eastern Ohio, he has bees out on a farm where they have acres and acres and acres of buckwheat. And
you can see the honey. This is actually honey. This is filled with honey. Am I right?
Yes.
And that probably weighs 3 pounds.
3 or 4 pounds.
Yep.
Easy. There's a drone right there.
Oh, here's a drone. See that? I don't know if you can see that, but the drone is, where did it go? Oh, here it is. You can see right here. that larger bee right there, that is a drone. That bee does not have a stinger. So the worker bees do, the drones do not. The drone is specifically built to provide semen for, I guess that's what it is, for the queen bee to eventually lay eggs. And so,
well, for other queen bees,
yeah,
they go
she
out
would,
and they mate with,
our queen, the queen of this hive would never mate with that drone.
that's her son.
That's her son, but she'll go up to a drone, what do they call them? Drone colony?
Oh, drone congregation.
Drone congregation area, which is about what, 50 to 100 feet above the ground.
Oh, easily.
And there's just thousands, tens of thousands of drones flying around. Why don't you ever notice, or have you ever seen one that you noticed a drone?
I haven't, but you can see how I'm not even worried about getting stung at all.
Oh yeah.
He's probably wondering, where did all my sisters go? We'll put him back in there. I've never seen one. I know approximately where some are because when I do mating, I have to have my queens near.
Oh, really?
So I know because of how well they mate. But I set this one up. I don't know if you can see down in there to see the larva.
Yeah, it's pretty,
really
it's hard to see with the naked eye, let alone the camera.
Well, I did find something else. Let's look at this. She is what I call a beauty. Get her up in the sunshine right there. That is the queen.
Oh, you didn't mark her?
No, I've been looking for her.
There she is. Are you gonna mark her?
Yes, we are. We'll do that
Yes.
live on camera.
Can
here.
you point to her a little bit?
Yeah, right above my thumb.
Right above the thumb. It's a little bit hard to see on this one. And why did you say she's a beauty?
I just like the coloring.
Yeah, she is. She's very
Just
cool
dark,
looking,
dark.
real dark.
So it's a type of honeybee known as a Carniolan or Caucasian. Those are the two breeds that are this dark in color. Italians are a lot oranger.
Yeah,
and
a lot of the
especially.
Yeah, a lot of the workers look Italian.
Yeah, well, she's mated with a couple of Italian drones from other hives.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the
I'm a little
bees-
biased towards the Italians.
Yeah.
They make good pasta.
They do. Okay, so we're gonna get her. I'm gonna try to encourage her to get over here because I do want to mark her.
Yeah, so we're gonna mark the queen bee. The reason why we mark them is so that they're more easily located. And he's putting a little cage over her that sort of locks her in a space. He clears out all her daughters, well, tries to, as many as possible. And now if you can see that.
Let's see if we can go. Let's go over here where we can get a little better
Okay.
angle.
Yeah. A little bit lower.
Would that work?
Yes, that's perfect.
Okay. Let me go get my equipment here.
Okay, so now these are all just little wires with a little nail coming out the bottom, and you basically trap it into that space, and then that way you can put a little dot, and not her abdomen, what's the body? Thorax, that's right, I couldn't remember the name of it. So her upper part where her wings attach are her thorax. Now, I would say because she never works her wings once she leaves the nest in the first 5 days and then comes back, are they fully functional so she can fly at any time, or are they?
If she has to fly, and there are times during a queen flight,
like in a swarm.
yeah, where she'll have to fly. We'll wait for the train to go by, but I'll do this visually.
Yeah.
Greg, we have a question in here.
See how we marked her? We put that blue dot on her back. Now she'll have that forevermore, at least we hope. And a queen bee can live up to how many years?
The textbooks say 5 to 8. I've got them to live 4 years.
Yeah, 5 to 8. That's amazing.
Yeah. So that blue dot also tells me that the color for 2020 is blue.
Oh, okay.
So we're also going to have to rechristen this hive because this was G20's hive.
Now it's somebody else's.
Yep.
So,
but you asked about her wings working.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if we can hear.
Can you guys hear us okay with the train?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, we're good,
Okay.
she says.
So the queen, she really wants to get out of here.
Yeah, we'll let her out.
Come on. She doesn't fly much, so if she has to fly, there we go. Look at her there.
You see her? She's beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow.
If she does have to fly, they actually have to get her in shape. So they cut her diet a little bit. And you see how they're all there taking care of her.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. If not using those wings, and her wings look so small. I guess they're the same size as the other worker bees. It's just her abdomen's so large that they look tiny.
Yeah. So they'll actually run her and get her to vibrate and flap her wings in the hive in preparation for swarming.
So she's getting exercise,
Yeah.
basically. Like what we do at Kemper House. We're all about exercise.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Okay.
Good work.
I'm going to go ahead and put her in fact,
And here's honey along this edge here.
Yeah. Let's go over here and we'll see. I'm going to put her right. I don't want to hurt her, so I want her to find her own way in. So I'm just going to do this. Grab her up and put her right in there, and then she's going to go in there and go on down.
Come on, lady. She's probably just sniffing around, making sure it's safe.
Yeah.
That he put her in the right hive and the right smell, and she's not going to get attacked. Because once again, if you stuck her in another hive, she would have a tough time of it. They would probably kill her immediately. But she made it in safely. Good work, Brother Dave.
We got her sorted out. She is good. So we can go ahead and put this hive back together. I didn't find any of the pollen. Let's go check this box over here.
All right.
Real quick.
Are you all enjoying this? Are we doing a good job for you? You don't have to answer. I know you're like, oh, this is the best ever. I love it. At least I'm having fun with it.
All right, we're gonna try to find some pollen. Let me put this together real quick.
All right, you put it together. Yep, no worries, no worries. So I did want to point out some things here. Dave was telling me, so we just moved this hive in. It's empty right now. If he runs across a hive that needs expansion of some sort or wants to move something, he'll fill this hive itself. Now, if you look, I don't know if you can see on the front of these, you can see these little scratches. So raccoons and skunks, varmints want to actually eat the bees. And then obviously if they could get to the honey, that would even be better, but that's difficult to do. So they'll come up and they will eat the bees. Some keepers will put little nail spikes, almost like the carpet strips that are jagged on the front edges of these if they have a problem with, you know, the skunks and the raccoons eating their bees. So
yeah, too many of them.
Yep.
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit's not going to hurt, but you can actually see all those scratch marks on there. And right here's the woods, basically, right behind us. So they have easy access, but Dave doesn't feel like it's that big of an issue right now. So we're just going to let it be. Let it be. See that? Play on words. But I wanted to show.
Greg, can you tell us why the queen bee is important?
Why what?
Why the queen bee is important?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Why is the queen bee important, Dave?
Well,
is it more important than any other bee in the hive?
She's not, because it's a team effort. So it's a teamwork. She has an important job that all the bees do. Her job is to lay eggs. We mentioned earlier that the worker bees during the summer only live for about 42 days. And that means that there's thousands of bees just naturally dying off.
Yes.
So she has to replace those
constantly.
By laying eggs.
Yes.
But she can't lay eggs without the workers.
Yep.
Because she's so busy laying eggs, she needs the workers to go out and collect pollen and nectar so that they have pollen and honey to feed her.
Yeah.
Because to lay all those eggs, you know, it's just like a chicken. If you don't feed your chickens, they don't lay eggs.
That's right.
And it's the same here. And the queen bee can't go out and feed herself.
Yeah.
Not only is there not enough time in the day, but she's physically doesn't have the tools that the workers have. I'm really hoping we'll find some. Let's
So the queen bee is controlled by the amount. So she lays in, I guess, in proportion to how much she's fed. So the more she is fed, the more she lays eggs. So if the hive itself, the hive acts as a brain in itself, and the hive realizes that, hey, our numbers are dwindling, and we need to have more sisters and some brothers, and so they will feed the queen bee more, and the more they feed her, the more eggs she will lay. And that you could have a hive with 50,000 bees in it, and you're constantly replacing those every 42 to 45 days. So it's a ton of work for a queen bee, and it's incredibly important. But just know she can't do anything without her daughters feeding her and taking care of the hive and cleaning things up and carrying dead bees out. They'll actually, a bee will die within the hive, and they'll carry her out and drop her out the front. It's pretty amazing.
It's get in here and find the pollen that's coming in. I'm so excited about it. But yeah, Greg is exactly right. It really is a team effort, and she really depends on her daughters to help out. And it's kind of like, I know when I was growing up, my teachers and my parents would always say things like, we all have something that we're good at. We have our own special skill.
That's right.
And the queen's special skill is she can lay a lot of eggs. But that's the thing she's best at. So here's evidence of a queen that's laid a bunch of eggs.
Oh, right.
These are all pupating bees in there.
Yeah, so eventually these are all, you see it, it's in a circular pattern. That amazes me every time I see that. And that's how the queen, and then on the outer edges, they'll put honey, and that can help to feed the larvae and the queen and everything that's going on. But it's really amazing. So that's a half circle, and the other half of it is in the frame below it.
Yeah. In fact, why don't we go ahead and go down there? Let's set this one aside.
Yep.
We're going to go pick out that frame right there.
Yeah, so the third one in.
We'll check and see.
It should be the lower half of the circle.
Yep. At least
oh, you can see, look at the bees are real active right now. I don't know if you can see them.
We've been standing in their way.
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of
yeah, you have sort of a beeline, they call it.
Yeah.
And we use that when we're making a beeline to something. It's actually a path that a bee takes to get to the front entryway of the hive, and they call it the beeline. So if you're a conscious beekeeper, you don't get in the bee line itself, because then they have to fly around you to get into their hive.
All right, I'm going to shake these bees off real quick.
Okay, so
I'm just checking to make sure the queen's not on there.
Got me. That's all right. Yep.
Let me get this over here.
I got a little sting on my finger. My wife's not going to be happy, but I'll be all right. I could put my gloves on, and then that wouldn't have happened. I was just being stubborn. Dave, can you hold this for 1 second?
Absolutely.
I'm just
that way you're going to get gloved up. Yep.
Okay. You know me, I'm not good with the venom. But it just got me on the tip of my finger, so I'll be fine.
Okay.
But now I'm more protected.
There we go.
And once you get stung once, they smell that, and they're like, "Ooh, I think I'd like to sting him too." Oh, wow, yeah.
You can see that that's a big, giant kind of circle.
Yep. Do you see how this circle comes around? And then these outside will be filled with honey eventually.
Yeah.
You can see, is that pollen in there?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of pollen.
This top frame down. And this is what I'm excited about. The queens have been sort of slowed down. They haven't been laying a ton of eggs. But if you can see that yellow in there,
yep,
that is fresh pollen. Some flowers. They're in the sunflower family, and sunflowers as well have been blooming. So they're bringing a lot of pollen back from that. And it's really going to start kicking these hives back in, getting them good and healthy for going into winter.
Nice.
see. Got any other eggs and larvae down here? I don't think she's moved back down in here yet.
See, Dave's
All
so
right.
much better at getting stung than I am. I'm sort of a wimp when it comes to that.
It is never fun. Oh,
No, I
go.
know. You handle it like a champ, though.
This lady right
Oh,
here
yeah.
has got that pollen on her
Yes.
legs.
Yep.
I'm going to see if I can grab her.
Yeah, if you grab her by the back wings, they can't sting
Yeah.
you, and it doesn't hurt them.
But look at all that
is
pollen.
a massive amount of pollen.
That's on her back legs, and she's going to be looking for help for some of her sisters to take that off. And
Oh, so the other bees help to get that off of her?
they will help to get that off.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome.
I'll put her back down.
So we want to see a lot of that. That's a
Yeah.
healthy sign. This is a really active beehive, really.
This is I'm
Yeah.
happy with the
Pretty,
hives are
pretty
doing
strong.
really well here.
Yeah.
Like I say, of the 7 we've got here, there's one with just a little issue, but we're diagnosing it. We're going to get it sorted out, and she'll be just fine.
Yeah, that's the importance. If you're a beekeeper, you have to be fully committed to this, and at least once a week, get in your hive and just see what's going on. And it's, you know, you have to be patient with things and really observant. It's all about observing what's going on and then reacting to what their needs are in that moment.
It really is just, you know, for anyone that's grown up on a farm or spent any time at all on a farm, you know, it's just like taking care of the goats or the sheep or the cows, whatever kind of livestock you have.
So
you've got to be in, and you've got to know what, if you're not seeing them all the time, you don't know if they're changing.
yeah.
And so we want to see whether they're changing for the good or the bad, and then it's our job as the keepers to then help them.
Now, so a hive out in the nature, you know, obviously they're able to do this all by themselves. They don't need humans to help them manage their own hive. Why is it we have to pay so much attention to them?
Well, because it's sort of like, I like to use the analogy between wolves and our pet dogs.
We've domesticated them.
We've domesticated them a little bit.
Uh-huh.
And wolves can take care of themselves.
Yeah.
But we would never get a pet dog and say, dogs know how to hunt,
Yep.
so I'm never going to feed my dog.
Right.
And I'm never going to give it flea medication, because you would have a skinny, itchy, starving dog.
Right, right.
And the same is true of bees. And unfortunately, there's some different parasites, mainly the varroa that are causing a lot of problems.
Gotcha.
And we didn't help.
Yeah.
We may, in fact, be part of the problem of how they got this mite. But that just means it's all the more incumbent on us to be good keepers.
Yeah.
And to make sure that we're helping improve the health of honeybees instead of just putting them out there and letting them. It'd be like letting your dog go wander the back streets and the alleys, letting them go feral.
Yeah, we've seen that.
We want to make sure that we want to keep them healthy. And like I say, it's really, you're checking in on them all the time so that you become familiar with how they're growing.
Sure.
And
their behaviors and personalities, and each hive does have its own personality, really.
Yes, it really does. And notes, I take so many notes.
Oh, do you?
In fact, I've got my book here. I'll be ready to take notes in a minute.
Is that the nerd in you?
That is the nerd in me. When we're dealing with, 7 hives here, and then I've got probably another 40 hives.
Wow.
So I want to make sure I'm just taking notes.
Gotcha.
That way, when I come up to, for example.
Yeah, remember we mark each hive with the numbering system.
SO4.
So that's SO4, then he can reference SO4, right there it is.
Well, let's see, where's she in there?
Right there.
SO4. And I've got my own little, means my own thing, but I want to check and see if there's a virgin queen in there. And I need to check back between August 22nd and 25th.
Look at you.
So I make sure I've got those notes.
That's shorthand notes there.
But it's really important. It's about getting to know your bees. Like you said, each hive has its own personality.
Sure.
Even these 3 hives that we were in today all acted a little bit different. Like, for example, this one stung me.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
We'll give her a demerit mark in there. But they all have their own thing going on. So I really do have to keep notes. And that just helps me when I come back know what they're doing and
Yep.
what they have been doing, what they've been. So, and you know, like Mark, it's all
Yep.
about doing every little thing to help me stay on track so that I can do best by the bees.
Yep. And, you know, at the end of the day, honeybees, we have a symbiotic relationship with them. It's so critical for some of the fruits and vegetables that we eat that they are healthy in our world. And we have to be kind to them, and we have to create an environment and be conscious as to sprays and chemicals that can be damaging to a beehive. And so I'm just grateful that Dave is my bee buddy, and he literally is the best in the Midwest. And we're just very fortunate to have somebody of his stature willing to bring his hives out here and share information about the bees and the importance of honeybees, and then keep them healthy. And then one day, probably in a month or so, we're going to extract some honey, and we're going to start eating some of our worker bees' honey. And so that's all for now. If y'all have any questions, I'll be in the building in a little bit. But I love you all, and thank you, Kemper House, for just being, and Kemper family for being the best. And Dave, thank you so much.
Thank you guys for coming out and joining me at the bees today. It's always a good time.
Bye bye.